Hey, what's up guys? It's been a long time. Back here with another video. And this video is going to be part 2 of the pretty much the lesson series that I'm doing. The first one was about the supplies, and I know that was like about four weeks ago or 3, something like that. But I know it's been a long time, and I promised to continue making these videos, but I've been pretty busy. But this video is going to be the first one pretty much as an intro to drawing. I already said before that these are more beginner or early intermediate type lessons. If you're already advanced, you might learn stuff from this. You could watch anyway. You'll probably learn something definitely, because I feel like the tips I'm about to share, I never learned them when I took like art classes in high school, like the basic school art classes and stuff. They didn't really teach how to draw this way. It was they would just start off with like the basic fundamentals and stuff. But I think this is even predates the fundamentals. Like this is like fundamental of the fundamentals. I know that sounds funny, but you'll know what I mean when I start. So, in my opinion, when you're drawing, there's like two different like main things in drawing, right? There's sketches, right? So you could say let's just make two like groups here. So sketches, right? And then there's like finished work. I don't know what's going on with my writing today. It's sloppy. Pretty tired, but I finally have the ideas to make the video, so I had to sit down and do it. But you got sketches and finished work, right? And mainly when you're drawing, right, you always start with pencil, unless you're like gonna go and do it with ink right away. But I wouldn't recommend that. I always recommend starting with pencil, of course, unless you're just having fun or something. So before you get to these two things, right, before you get to this, you're gonna need to know how to sketch, and before you're gonna sketch, you need to know how to use a pencil, right? So the tools, right? So the tools for drawing, you could be charcoal, it could be graphite, right? It could be certain types of ink, but we want to use something that's less permanent here. So we're using a pencil, right? So first you're gonna have to learn how to use a pencil. Here I'm using a pencil holder. That's not necessary, so you want to take the pencil out. Screw it. I'm just gonna get a new pencil. So when you're holding a pencil, you want to make sure that you're drawing loose and light. And I know I've said that in many videos before, but here's a pencil straight out of the box, right? And there's different ways of holding a pencil. You could hold it like this, right, to get very loose lines. So you see that? You could even sharpen it some more. So I'm gonna sharpen the pencil with a pocket knife. It gets you like a very, let me move down a bit. Show how I'm sharpening. So it's like a basic, I would say using an X-Acto knife it's probably better, but because I usually have a pocket knife laying around, it's a bit easier. And you get like this nice edge to the pencil, right? And it's fairly quick. I'm not telling you to get a pocket knife. I'm just saying like use some kind of edge. There's specific tools for making this type of point on pencils. They sell it in art stores and stuff. It's like a type of sharpener. You could just kind of like slide on the edge of a pencil and it gives you that edge, right? And so you could get like really smooth lines. You see that? Really, 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 really smooth lines. And just by drawing from the side of the pencil. So let's say you want to block in shapes really quick, right? And you don't have charcoal, because with charcoal, you have the brick, right? And you can just make like very big marks right away. So let's say you're drawing a person and you don't really want to just go in there and you want to, you're going to be very exact, because this is for detailing, all right? Like when you're drawing with the tip of the pencil, you're going to be doing really fine details. So let's say you're drawing the eye over here, right? So you got an eye over there, right? And that's all like detailing, right? But if I'm going to be like planning an eye out, it's really big on the paper. I want to be quick. I want to be fast, right? Kind of just, see, I kind of like already have the shapes in there. Stuff like that. Say you want to draw a full body, right? And I want to be quick and I want to make sure that it's smooth. So if I make any mistakes, I go over it. So see that? Just like planning it real quick. Then you got the torso. And I want the person to be like resting, but he's like sitting down. And his legs are like, and then the hands are like leaning down like that. And then you could still like continue with the side of the pencil, right? And then let's say you want the light coming from that side. And then you just focus on the shadows, right? This is pretty much like drawing with charcoal. Same thing, because the edge is like very big, so then it's like you could block in shapes really quickly, right? And I hope you understand my point here. It's just so you could plan in real quick. Like we already have, like if I'm drawing comic book pages, which is what I was working on for these past few weeks, I'll just block in pages like this. So after you're done blocking in a bunch of pages like this, you could, I remember blocking in one time about 10 pages in one sitting, and that was for like 3 hours, right? So I blocked in 3 pages while sitting down in a couple of hours, right? But after blocking those pages, when I went in to draw them and fill them out, like let's say I go back to the blocked in shapes, right? I just smoothly erase over it, and then I could just go in and then I could like, could draw what I want over it, and it'll be more exact. But since I planned it out very, well, not well, but like I planned it out like loosely, I could kind of just go in there and be tight, right? Tighter than it was before, and draw what I want to draw. But since it's a good foundation, the drawing will turn out well, right? But of course, you're going to have to practice a bit before you could just go in there and you could just, like, pump out a bunch of these. And that's why I'm saying, like, once you learn how to plan out fast, then you could draw way more, way quicker, right? And then it makes that stage where you're drawing tighter lines and stuff easier. So I'm telling you, just learn how to draw with the pencil from the side, making in big blocks. Like, if I was planning out that shoulder you saw before, I just went like that for the shadow, right? And that's technically what I'm just going to do again. And then you could just, like, block in these shapes that are big, right? Even though it's like almost 1 a.m. right now, there's people outside talking, so there might be some commotion. It's probably not loud enough to appear in the recording, but you get my point. You want to make sure that you can hold the pencil very loosely, very lightly. Because look, even if I want to, like, this is Bristol board, so it's hard paper, right? And you could really dig into hard paper with the pencil, right? Look at that. It won't really erase out, right? Imagine you plan out with that line thickness. That pressure on the paper, it won't erase. But when you look at this, I'm not even erasing that hard. And it's erasing the planned out ones. The lines that were there from the planning are erased completely. See that? But the final lines, the ones where I went in and I drew tighter, those are the lines that remain. So you should never draw with like the kind of line quality that you want for finished work, right? Which is very harsh and heavy lines, right? That are dark. You never want to plan with that. You want to plan with these thin lines, and you want to like learn how to plan. So learning how to plan is for finished work, right? Sketches, you don't really like. Sketching is for fun. So you could just be sitting there. You could be starting a sketch, like, let's say you want to draw, I don't know, a dog or something, right? You could just have fun with it. Whatever comes to your mind. You don't even need to know how a dog looks like, right? You just think about it from memory, like a dog that has like a funny head. It might still look like a dog in the end. I don't know. Let's give him some glasses or something. Like, you see, that's not realistic at all. But I'm just having fun. It's a sketch, right? I don't need to know how to plan. I don't need to know how to really use my tools that well for just basic sketches. Of course, sketches get more advanced, and there's different types of sketches. That's just for fun, right? And then there's practice and studies, which are pretty much the same thing, right? So for practice and studies, you're going to be looking at something and you're going to be drawing it. So let's say if you're drawing a human head, right, and you're looking at a person's head in front of you, right, and you're going to be drawing it here. You're going to hold your pencil, right, very loosely, and maybe you see the person's head is kind of a 3/4 view, right? And they have like a very thick brow ridge. They got big ears, so you're going to kind of just block it in there. The nose is very long, right? You're just going in very loose here, because if you want to erase it, you could do it with ease. Oops, running out of space. But that's what it is. You got to learn how to draw very lightly and just plan out and let it and move with your arm, right? I'm not, it's like a, who's that guy, the maestro from the composer or whatever they're called, the ones who are always waving that wand when they're making the orchestra play. You're moving your arm with your elbow. I mean, you're moving your hand with your elbow, right? The elbow joint. It's what makes those big lines, big smooth lines. All right, and the guy's looking that way, but his body's facing that way. So, and then we go and we fix it up. We could just, regular grip on the pencil. You could even move up all the way here if you want to make darker lines. It's fine. And sometimes I get comments like when I'm teaching some techniques and stuff, and some people say, like, I got comments like these a few times where somebody says, this isn't a good method because you have to be really advanced to be able to do it well. Well, yeah, that's like every method, dude. Like, just practice any method that you're taught and you're going to do it well, right? I mean, most of the stuff that I'm teaching is not highly advanced stuff. It's just look at the shapes, plan it out, try to think about it. Like, let's say, for example, here, right? See this face here? See how the nose was too big? And say, oh, I made a mistake and I want to make it shorter, right? Then I just gauge the distance, right? Maybe, oh no, that's too short. Okay, that's just right. Shorten the nose, right? And then you see how light it is, just so I can erase it when I want to. And maybe the mouth is very high up and the guy has a massive jaw, right? And then he's got like, jaw goes here, and then he's got a scar that goes down the face, right? You could just kind of like measure it out. And then I could go in. And see here, that's a bad habit here, just doing those chicken scratch lines, right? You don't want to do that. You want to go. You want to make sure your lines are smooth and they're quick. So yeah, that's it. Practice and studies, right? You're just sketching around. You're having fun. There's no need to fit the sketch in the paper. You might have ran out of space and that's all the space you had to draw that dog. You don't care. It was just a sketch. You're having fun. Studies didn't fit in the paper. You just try again. Now, finished work. For finished work, right, you have to make sure that you're making correct choices during the planning. So when you're done planning it, looks presentable, because you're working on paper, right? You don't have an infinite amount of space unless you're on digital and you have like a really big file or whatever, big paper, whatever you're using on digital, right? But when you're working physically, you have paper, right? Now let's say we're drawing a person's head, like you know what, let's make it a full body, because full body is always hard to draw. Now, if I take, let me draw another square here, same size down. If I take a full body and I draw it over here, is that a good picture? I mean, it's not horrible, right? Like, I'm talking about like the composition, right? It doesn't look right. There's something off about it. Why? Because it just doesn't fit in the picture. You know that the person who drew this did not plan it correctly, did not really think about it, did not make many smart choices. Now let's say we're drawing that same position where somebody's kind of stepping forward but in like a defensive fighting stance or something, and we want to plan it out right, right? There's basic rule of thirds, right, for a composition. You're sketching it in there somewhere. Let's say you want the person's head in that upper third, so we're drawing lightly, right? We have that hand over here. Same pose, kind of. But we're trying to contain it within this composition. Right now, the reason why I drew the body this small and not bigger, because I want to make sure that the elbows do not touch like the ends of the paper, right? We want to like have this invisible border framing everything in there, because when stuff starts to touch the edge of the paper, it's going to look weird. You want to make sure stuff is framed, right? When you're drawing stuff for finished work, right, you want to make it look professional, and you want it to be like a certain type of invisible frame, right? So then when the audience looks at the picture, they know what they're looking at. They know what they have to look at. They don't want to have to guess what's going on outside of the picture. The whole picture is there. The whole idea you want is in that frame. So you're framing, right? Now the guy's leg. Now you see, here the leg is straight. Now maybe we could have the leg going up a bit. Maybe you see like the bottom of it because he's stepping very fast forward. But we're changing up the pose of it just so it could fit within that frame or perspective or whatever, right? You could change the perspective a bit. So that's my point, is just to make sure you fit the picture better within. So now which picture would look better if you're looking at it? And since we're drawing lightly, you could also like move it around and it's easier to fix up. So if you're drawing lightly, if you're drawing this pose, in which picture does it look better? I would say this one, and I would even move him up a bit, right? So this is why drawing lightly is a good thing. You could literally fix the whole thing very easily. You don't have to really like try so much. And the thing is, when you're drawing, you're going to be drawing different poses. The same poses on different types of paper. So it's a good exercise to have different sized paper and draw the same thing on it. So you're kind of just visualizing how it would fit. So this guy would fit here on the small one. Just try it. It is difficult to visualize how much of the paper you're going to need, right? So we're drawing that same shape. See how difficult, like it's hard to plan it. Like you're going to be planning the same shape on each of these papers. Same shape on 3 different papers. Now maybe you could even change the ratio of the paper so you have the paper a little bit wider, right? More of a square. How would you fit the same shape within different frames? Because when at the end of the day, what a finished work of art is, it's a well-framed design. I don't want to start saying like art is really just all about design, but when you look at a lot of like really good illustrations, I'm talking about illustration here, right? A lot of it is about just good composition. Composition and design is what makes you able to work fast and plan better. So you got to just make sure, that you're just planning right, and maybe even like not just plan right, but overall think properly when you're drawing. Like, why are you drawing the piece, right? Why are you using the tools you're using? So this is why this is the first lesson. I'm just trying to show you that like not every time you're drawing you're going to be making a work of art, like an amazing piece. And sometimes when you're sketching, you're going to get carried away and you're going to wish that that sketch was on a bigger piece of paper, better materials and better stuff, right? And that's the thing. At the end of the day, you got to know what your intention is, and sometimes you don't know what your intention is, and that's okay. So I know I'm talking fast in this video, but I'm trying to make my video shorter from now on, because people don't want to watch 50-minute videos, but it's all right. If you learn, you learn. If you don't want to watch, it's all right. But it's really good to watch the whole video, because sometimes I'll say something in the beginning of the video that I should have said in the end, and sometimes I say stuff in the end that I should have said in the beginning. And I don't really like editing because it's a colossal waste of time, if for me. But of course it does save time for the viewer, and I wish I could do that. But I got other things to do, and I do this like I don't make money from these videos. I do this just because it's been helping people, and I get messages about that, and it's a good thing. I like that. And I don't like that you have to like pay so much for art lessons online. And I feel like I taught myself how to draw, and this is the type of stuff where like I made breakthroughs for myself, like when I realized these ideas, right? And I'm not saying like this is like some scientific like methods and stuff, but just knowing what you're doing and your intentions and your process, making those differences where you set goals for yourself in your art, it makes a big difference. So yeah, enough rambling, but I'm just going to show here the last. So here you change the shape of the paper, right? And you're drawing the same figure. How would you frame it here? So you kind of like think about the composition, right? You want to have like everything in the middle thirds, right? In the middle of the thirds. Maybe this time you'll have like a perspective that's higher. So it's the same figure, right? But you're imagining a perspective from above, and you're drawing the same person. And it looks okay. You could even move it here. That would have looked better. Move it a little bit to the middle. But that gives like a nice feel to it. And even if you move him over here, it would have a different feel. Because usually stuff looks different when it's on the left than when it's on the right. I don't know why. It just is. But yeah, this is the thing about finished work. You just have to make sure it's framed correctly. That's really it. Because you could have an amazing drawing in a sketchbook page, right? But it will look like crap if it was a cover. You could have some work on covers, right, that would look funny in a sketchbook page because, like, it's too good for a sketchbook page. I don't know how to explain it, but you get my point. There's different reasons to why you're drawing. Understand which one it is to save yourself confusion and time, and understand how to use a pencil. Please don't draw too heavy. If you're doing sketches and practice and studies, just have fun with it. Understand your tool. Don't be afraid. So many people go into drawing like, oh no, I'm gonna make colossal garbage here while I'm drawing. It's gonna look like a turd. Don't think about that. Just draw, because when you draw, like the first couple of years, everything you draw is gonna be garbage. And it sounds discouraging, but everybody that draws goes through that. But the reason why we draw is because we like it and we have aspirations to be better. That's everything in life. So if you give up at anything that you do because you think you're gonna suck in the beginning, well, tough news. Like, everything is gonna suck when you start at it, right? When you start, and the beginning is always painful in anything, and it's always gonna be trashy. So you gotta just try, keep going, and keep at it. That's really it. So this is the first lesson, and this is just all about how to hold a pencil and intentions behind drawing, right? And if your work isn't as good as you want it to be, that means you gotta practice. And if you think you're gonna have to practice a lot, and you think it's not fun and you think it's boring and you don't want to draw, then why are you drawing, right? You gotta think about it. Like, why are you drawing? And if it's for fun, then yeah, have fun with it, and don't beat yourself up about it. If you're doing it for a job, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. This stuff is hard, but it's not the quickest way to money. But if you love it, go ahead. But my point is, just your intention behind drawing. Know how to plan. If you know how to plan, it makes everything easier. Know how to draw smoothly, softly. All right. Learn when you need to draw tightly. Learn when you need to press on the paper, when you don't need to, right? You don't need to draw dark when you're planning out. And you need to know how to frame when you're doing finished work. So know how to plan in a sketchbook, right? Just have fun in a sketchbook, and then you could transfer that finished work, right, in the sketchbook into actual finished work, like work that you're happy with, like that you could display, right? And so the difference between sketches and finished work is that finished work is framed. It is well planned out. The composition is thought about, and it's finalized, right? Sketches, you're just having fun and you're practicing, right? Doesn't matter how it looks like on the paper. Doesn't matter if half the subject doesn't fit. Unless you're practicing to make the subject fit, then you could do that in your sketchbook, right? You could have finished work in your sketchbook. It's just, why would you do that if you could just put on better paper? You know, that's just my opinion. Leave finished work for a good paper and leave the sketches in the sketchbook, unless you're planning in the sketchbook. Okay, that's enough talking. I'm talking a lot today. I had too much coffee. But it's weird because I had too much coffee and I'm tired. I don't know. But yeah, hope this video was informative. Now, if you want me to make part 2 faster, you know, let me know in the comments. I'll try my best. Part 2 will probably be about starting off, like, this is what we'll do. You know what? Name me suggestions in the comments, because I want to know the skill level of everybody. So let me know in the comments, like, what kind of, if this stuff is too simple. If it's too simple, I'm going to change it up and make sure that the content will be more challenging, right? If this stuff is like, oh wow, I'm learning a lot, I'm going to keep it at this level. You know what I mean? But if it's too easy, let me know, because I will change it up. I will put more challenging stuff in there, and, you know, tougher ideas that, you know, for more intermediate and advanced, right? Thanks for watching. You know, let me know about any questions or any comments in the comments below. Have a good one.